We all set? Everybody ready? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you. There is a quote that explains a lot about leadership and preparation. It goes, if I had 8 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 6 of them sharpening my axe. This is often attributed to Abraham Lincoln. And it really does capture the essence of what I'm about to share with you and with the people of Jacksonville today. Before crafting a compelling narrative or implementing a bold new policy, we have to first equip ourselves with reliable, context-rich information. Just as a dull axe makes the task harder and more wasteful, decisions made without data or with poorly understood data can be inefficient or even counterproductive. That's why I am so proud to stand here today and announce the launch of State of Jax, a first-of-its-kind public-private partnership in Jacksonville that will sharpen a collective understanding of our city through the power of data. This is not just a website. When fully completed, State of Jax will be a dynamic tool that puts real, actionable insight into the hands of people who need it most: city leaders, nonprofits, business owners, and our residents alike. When I took office, I promised a new era of data-driven governance, where transparency and accountability are not just buzzwords, but foundational to how we operate. We've already laid the necessary groundwork with our transparency dashboards. I know you're all familiar with those on jacksonville.gov. They show how our city government is performing. And while performance metrics tell us how effectively our city dollars are being used, we also need complementary data to understand how our outcomes compare to those of other cities and to help us target our limited resources to where they are needed most. That's where State of Jax provides the opportunity for transformative change in our city. With this new platform, we can now benchmark Jacksonville against national and state averages. We can segment citywide data into neighborhoods, zip codes, and city council districts, and we can track changes and progress over time. By doing so, we can better analyze how our investments in housing, economic development, health, and education are making a meaningful difference. And we can use those insights to refine and improve our approach. Y'all can come on in. I know it's crowded, but please don't feel like you have to be outside. I can see your smiling face from outside the door, Isaiah. Thank you for being here. So let's not forget, Jacksonville is not just a growing city. It is a complex story that's unfolding every day. The 1 million plus people who call our city home have their unique journey and story to tell. They each have aspirations that have not yet fully been realized. These journeys unfold across our 198 neighborhoods, our 245 public and charter schools, our 151 private K-12 schools, 502 arts, cultural, and humanities nonprofits, 2,039 houses of worship, 16 colleges, universities, and technical schools, 66,000 small businesses, and 4 Fortune 500 companies. Through the lens of data, we can transform individual stories into a shared civic narrative, one that helps us track the trajectory of our residents, from early learning to lifelong health, from first jobs to retirement security. With root cause analysis, we moved beyond disconnected statistics and begin to see a more complete picture, one that reveals both the promise and the barriers to opportunities. And how we tell that story matters, because data-driven storytelling is more than charts and graphs. It's how we uncover the real experiences of our residents here in Jacksonville, where they're thriving, where they're struggling, and where we must do better. I hope the State of Jax will empower us to align our efforts across sectors, target our investments, and design more innovative policies that meet people where they are. This is what smart, accountable governments should all be doing. I want to emphasize that this did not happen in a vacuum. State of Jax is the product of a unique public-private partnership, as I said before. It brought together data scientists, community organizations, city departments, business leaders, and academic institutions, all united by a belief that we can make better decisions when we can actually see the whole picture. When we've sharpened our axe, then it is now the time to build. Let this be the start of a new chapter for Jacksonville, one where data becomes our shared compass, guiding us toward a healthier, safer, more prosperous city. In a moment, I'm going to invite Dr. Parvez Ahmed, our Chief of Analytics, who spearheaded this project, to show us how the last 12 months of work have prepared us for the exciting journey that comes next. Before that, though, I do want to extend gratitude to everyone, from members of City Council to leaders of community organizations, from professors at universities to their students, and from business leaders to innovators who participated in this project to drive it toward success. And this is just the beginning. Thank you so much. And Parvez, where are you? The podium is yours.
So the most impressive statistics of the day is Jacksonville has way too many data nerds than we all thought we had. This room is full. So this is our moment of big reveal. First, I want to thank Mayor Deegan for her support for this unique partnership and her leadership in always emphasizing evidence and data-driven decision-making. I also want to thank our partnering organizations that are listed over here. And I want to give a special shout out to two people in this room. One, Adam Berry from Wingard, for helping us prepare our website and our dashboards. And to my student intern from UNF, Sneha Katari. So please raise your hand. Thank you. So there is no place like home. And Jacksonville has a lot to cheer and celebrate. We are ranked number 7 in the best big cities to live by US News and World Report. We are also number 7 in best places to retire. We are number 3 in being one of the hottest job markets in the country. Our city has a AA bond rating, and we are ranked top 25 in best places for renters. And as the mayor said in her budget address, momentum is indeed on our side. We are a city of 1 million plus people. We are only one of 11 cities with 1 million plus people. And we are also one of the fastest growing cities in the country. In fact, among large cities, our rate of growth is only surpassed by 2 other cities, Houston and Fort Worth. And if we continue growing at the rate at which we are growing, we are most likely to add another 500,000 people to our city in the next 25 years. To give you a context, this is where Jacksonville's growth has been for the last 55 years. It took us 55 years to add 500,000 people to our city. We could add the same number of people in half the time over the next 25 years. This is where data comes in. If we manage this growth, it's a blessing. If we do not rise to the challenge, this can feel burdensome. So being a professor, which I've not given up yet, of management, I like to quote one of my gurus in business school, Peter Drucker: what get measures get managed. So this is why we are leaning into data, because data will make the invisible visible. Data will bring accountability, data will create trust, and ultimately then data will help us drive the change that we are looking for. With that in mind, we launch State of Jax with a mission to conduct data-driven research to identify, measure, report, and propel Jacksonville's progress towards shared economic, educational, health, and cultural goals. Our vision is to provide practical database research to make Jacksonville not only a destination city, but also a city that affords opportunities for all its citizens. The goals of this project are ambitious, but doable. We want to work collaboratively, as we have done for the past 12 months, with a variety of civic groups and academic leaders. We want to conduct data-driven research. Some of it we will show you today. And we want to produce an annual report going forward. But most importantly, we want to take this information out into the communities, out into civic groups, out into our community groups, and engage our community into conversation. Because the feedback that we will receive from those groups will help us propel this project forward. At this point, I want to thank and acknowledge the members of the advisory committee. If you are in the room, can you please stand and be acknowledged? Thank you. It's been an impressive journey with all of them for the last 12 months. Please be seated. Thank you. And more to come. So with that, we are launching State of Jax. We are launching stateofjax.org. That's the website. You can see a little bit. I pulled out a few screenshots from the website, and I'm going to walk you through what you can see if you go to the website. It's live and it's working right now. You will see data that is segmented by almost like a cradle to grave kind of a life cycle: early childhood, higher education, school years, work years, and retirement. But data is also segmented by areas of impact: economic impact, health impact, education impact, and social impact. So when you see a data dashboard like this, and we'll show you a couple just for the sake of time, we'll only get through a couple of them, you will see them often cross-referenced. So this is data that is cross-referenced not only with early childhood, but with health, life expectancy at birth. But when we look at poverty, it is cross-referenced with early childhood and economic data. And there is a Contact Us button through which you can engage with us. If you see something that you have an opinion, or you want to make changes, or you want to ask questions, please use that website to get in touch with us. Now I want to take you through what was the value add from this project, particularly the use of a particular vendor that we have used to help us in this project, which is MySidewalk. MySidewalk is one of the largest data vendors that provides data to hundreds of municipalities and public and private institutions. One of the advantages of using that data source is that we can look at data citywide. So for example, if I'm looking at life expectancy data, I can pull that data citywide. But I can also segment the data, as the mayor was talking about, that we can look at the data in a much more granular level. We can see what the inside of the city looks like, where the disparities are, and I'll show you some of the data from that. Not only we can look up the data by city council, we can also segment the data by zip code. And perhaps even more interestingly, we can segment the data literally by a neighborhood or census tract. So this gives power on our side that we can not only manage, as the mayor talked about, what we spend, is it making a difference? And in which neighborhood is making a difference? Where it is not making a difference? What we can do better? So it's a tool in our hand, and how much success we gain out of this tool will literally depend upon all of us in this room and beyond. So I'll show you one data point and the segmentation of the data and how it looks like. So we're looking at life expectancy across Jacksonville. So when we see the data across 2 city council districts, we have a life expectancy discrepancy of 10 years. Across 2 zip codes, it's 12 years. But across 2 neighborhoods, it's 25 years. I've said this before: if the neighborhood that is represented by the census, this is census tract data, by that census tract, which is labeled College Park, which is west of Springfield, just south of U of Health, if that neighborhood was a country of its own, it would be ranked 150th. And if Mandarin would have been a country of its own, life expectancy would be number 1 in the world. So within the same city, we have that level of disparity. So I'll walk you through, these are the 2 neighborhoods, and these are the 2 census tract data that we have looked at, literally 9.5 miles apart from each other. And we can see what the mayor has talked about this in various settings before. The tale of 2 cities emerge just by following the data. The 25-year life cycle or life expectancy difference between the 2 neighborhoods. We can see employment ratio, almost one double being the other, labor force participation, and the number of people dependent on SNAP. In the College Park neighborhood, almost 3 out of 4 people are dependent on food stamps. So as the mayor said, We are looking at data two different ways, segmented data across our neighborhoods, but we are also comparing Jacksonville to 13 other peer cities. And the cities that we are comparing to are listed over here. And when you go to the website, you can hover over the map. It'll give you a little bit of a blurb about the population of the city that we chose, who are the leading employers in those cities, what are the major industries that we are comparing ourselves to. And the selection of the city was done in conjunction with our advisory committee. So we chose 3 cities in Florida, the usual ones that you can imagine, Tampa, Miami, and Orlando. We chose 6 cities that have a similar consolidated government like us. We chose 7 cities that have a population of 750,000 or more. 8 or 9 cities have similar industrial or business footprint like we have, major industries being financial services, healthcare, and a strong military presence. And then we have 9 cities that have a majority-minority population. So this is the way if you go into the website and you click under Explore Data, this is the way you will see the data segmented. Jacksonville always in bright orange, comparing ourselves to the other cities in our peer city list, but also comparing ourselves to national and state averages. So we can see where we are. Obviously, in this data, we have a challenge to overcome. Our life expectancy data is 2.5 years lower than the state or national average. The same data, as I said before, we can look across our city council district, and that gives us tool to create advocacy around. But in addition to just the data dashboard, we will also provide a rationale for the data. Why does this data matter? Why should you care about this data? Why should all of us care about this data? And for each one of those data dashboards that we will share with you, we provide the rationale, and we will continue to build on this one. With our academic partners, we will continue to figure out what else can we showcase over here that draws urgency and purpose to changing the story of Jacksonville. And I'll just walk you through a couple of data dashboards like this. Another dashboard that you will see is pediatrician ratio. This is tracking the number of children per pediatrician in Jacksonville. So for one pediatrician, there are 712 children in Jacksonville. So that's a lot. As you can see, compared to our peer cities, we are not performing as well as other peer cities are performing. We have a lot of room to improve. When we see that data across our city council district, the disparities become even more stark. In one city council district, we have close to 9,000 children for one pediatrician, versus another city council district where the ratio is 124 to 1. These are data points that should spur us to action, that should make us think. Not everything that is on the dashboard has a government solution to it. This is not necessarily saying, the government can change the number of pediatricians we are recruiting in this city, but it can create a conversation. It can provide leadership in engaging our healthcare sector into improving data sources like this. Another data source that you will see is something that is top of mind on almost everybody's mind right now is affordability. Almost half our city has a rent burden higher than 30%, meaning that more than 30% of their income is spent on rent. That's cost burden. That has real cost. It reduces spending power, reduces discretionary spending, and thus reduces the economic viability of the entire city. The last 3 slides, I'm going to quickly run through them. I know many of you are standing and you're probably getting tired. I'll present these 3 data points in sequence. When we look at the number of residents with at least a high school degree in Jacksonville, we do pretty well. Our graduation rates stack up very well against our high school graduation rates stack up very well against our peer cities. Almost 90% of our residents have at least a high school degree. That's positive news. Now comes the data points that should spur us into action. And in fairness, I have to say, the mayor's leadership, along with the city council's cooperation, we are taking actions in those areas. Look at the number of residents with at least a bachelor's degree. 1 in 3 residents in the city of Jacksonville have a bachelor's degree. We are much lower in the ranking across our city. And then when we look at the number of residents with at least a graduate or a professional degree, we are dead last. So I do not want any one of us to be discouraged seeing data like this. This is not data that should be woe be us. This is data that should say what we can do better. And we know through the investments that city has made with bringing UF to Jacksonville or funding UNF or JU, there are efforts already underway to change this. Now with data, we should be able to track it over time. As we spend, are we improving on these data points? So with that in mind, I'm going to show you a quick economic takeaway just in the interest of time. I'm not going to elaborate too much on this one. But one of the value add that we want to bring through this project is to ask the question, when we look at data like life expectancy or rent burden or college graduates, there is a moral imperative to change those numbers. But in addition, there is the economic imperative to change those numbers. So as an economist, my bias is towards looking at the economic numbers. What is the economic bottom line if we try to improve the number? If we improve life expectancy in Jacksonville on average by just 1 year, from 76.4 to 77.5, it'll add nearly $2 billion in economic value to the city. If we add one pediatrician to the city of Jacksonville, that adds nearly $6.2 million in economic value because it will reduce absenteeism in school, it will keep parents at their jobs, not taking time off for their kids, and so on and so forth. If we add more college graduates to the city, 1,000 more college graduates will add nearly $278 million in economic value to the city. And if we reduce the number of rent burden residents by 10,000, that would add nearly $80 million to the city. I do not have time to go over the details of these calculations, but stay tuned, that's coming. It will be up on the website. With that in mind, I'm going to leave you with this quote. It kind of illustrates everything that this data project is about. That Maya Angelou said so poignantly, so many years ago, that when we know better, we should do better. This project is about the knowing part. Our goal through State of Jax is to get this information in all of your hands. Whether you are a leader with the city, you are a leader with a civic group, you are an academic leader, a professor, a student, all of us can be benefited through this data.